Yo, what's up everyone? It's Pixie, and today we're going to be doing some messages of what your relationships need from you right now. And I was really interested when Spirit gave me this idea because I was like, oh yeah, like that's such an important thing to know sometimes, is what our people that we love, what they need from us. So I do want to start prefacing, is that how I say it? I want to preface this reading with saying that there are different types of relationships that you can use this reading for. And I want to tell you a little bit about how you would make that work. So my main focus of this reading is to give you advice and guidance and any messages that Spirit want you to know that's going to help you in the long term, in the long run, nurture more love in your life, more love, more happiness, more joy. And there's different types of relationships you can have, right? There's friendships, there's romance partners, there's family relationships, there's co-workers and things like that. So before you go ahead and choose your pile, it would be good for you to kind of like take a little bit of a step back, take a deep breath, and tune in to your inner compass and see what you would like to know about particular relationships. So if you're single, you can ask the question in your heart, guides, like lead me to the pile that's gonna help me and have advice for me about creating a romantic relationship. If you guys are having some conflict in your family, you can ask the question, how do I solidify bonds in my family relationship? How do we heal things? Or how do I get through this hard time? And if you're currently in a relationship, a romantic partnership, you can even just ask yourself, what does my partner need from me? What's going to help them to feel more loved? What's going to help our relationship grow stronger? And you can also ask the same for friendships too. Obviously, you guys will know more than I do about exactly where you're at, and what your heart wants to know around relationships. And my job is to just try and relay the messages. And when you've tuned into like a frequency that you want to listen for, you can interpret the answers and the messages through that lens. Okay, so I'm really looking forward to this reading. If anyone new is coming in, by the way, like welcome in. Hi, my name is Lucy or Pixie, and traditionally I am a Twitch live streamer. I've been doing Twitch for about 6 years, and I mostly do live readings for people. And we have an amazing community. I am so in love with the people that have just ended up like coming on board for the ride, and it's so awesome. And I really do want to just say like a big shout out to all of the friendships and the people that I have grown to love from the community that we've built. There's even been people who have fallen in love with each other through the community. So if you've been looking for a space to make friends or a space to get to know new people, I would really recommend like joining the Patreon, joining our Discord server, and just like having a go, like having a feel out of people. We do a really cute tarot night once a month, and that's a really great way to meet new people and learn tarot. It's $9. It's like super cheap for what it is. And me and a couple friends, we like host kind of like, it's like a very like podcasty style. Everyone pulls their own cards for different things, and we just like sit and chat and like go through the different types of interpretations, how to interpret it, and you can just meet people. It's really laid back. It's very like social. It's definitely the place I've always felt that people need, especially if you're introverted, psychic, spiritual. It's a really nice place to meet people. So I don't know why that's coming through. Maybe someone new is listening right now and you've been like wanting a space like that. So yeah, you can go check that out. The Discord is for everybody to join at the moment. I'll put the link down in the description too if you want to come and say hi. It's not a dating Discord. We are a spiritual community with like-minded souls, but you know, naturally relationships, romantic relationships and friendships, they've developed over the years. So big shout out to those people and welcome any new people coming in. I feel like I've just blabbed on for like more than I needed to, but okay. So take a deep breath, focus on where you want to focus for your relationships, and then you can click the timestamp down below. Uh-oh, I have a cat. Are you okay? What are you doing, cat? Missy is coming and saying hello and chewing on my notebook. You can focus on the messages that you need to hear, and then click on the timestamp down below, and that will take you into your message. If you are drawn to more than one, that's fine. If you want to go back and watch again and watch a different pile for a different relationship that you want to focus on, that's fine. Follow your intuition, notice what feels good, notice where you're drawn to, and just be fun and be creative with it. It's fine. You can do whatever you want with this reading. All right, guys, I will see you soon in your pile. All the love. Thank you so much for being here and supporting my channel. If you haven't already, please drop a like, please comment down below. It lets YouTube know that this channel is worth watching and keeping an eye on and showing to other people, but of course you can do that after you watch your message. All right, guys, bye. Yo, what's up, pile one? I hope you're doing good. So what do your relationships need from you right now? I'm just gonna generalize as much as I can because I don't know what type of relationship you're focusing on, but one of the key things I'm seeing here is that you guys need to start communicating and start getting your ideas and like your divine impulses into physical manifestation. You keep getting ideas to say things, do certain things, communicate certain things, and you don't do them. Now, this can be anywhere from having a date night idea to inviting a friend out for dinner or contacting somebody, but you just don't do it. Now, part of this issue though feels like you are kind of there's a mix. So I feel fearful energy. I feel like you have a really hard time taking the first step. Some of you kind of live your life a little bit chaotically, where it's like, kind of gives me ADHD vibes, where it's like every day blurs into the next day and you don't keep track so much of time and of people. You're not really the type of person who like messages people all the time, or you know, your relationships can just tend to fall to the wayside, and then before you know it, you haven't spoke for like months. And also there's a tendency here where you feel lonely but you're not doing anything about it, or you feel isolated but you're not doing anything about it, or you're not recognizing the tools that you have, or you don't believe in your ability to create what it is that you want, create the types of relationships that you want, no matter who that's with, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a family relationship. You haven't been believing in your ability to have a healthy, good, balanced relationship. Keyword is balance. So the Fool in reverse as well can also be fears of just not being good enough, not being mature enough, feeling inexperienced, feeling foolish, feeling like you don't want to make a fool out of yourself. These are the things that are kind of blocking you right now from your communication. The thing is, you need to recognize that there is some really cool stuff for you to say. And there is also as well, like there is some key thing that you need to, there's something really important about either what a message that you have to say, or a message that you need to send, or just your ability to just take the first step and start communicating, start getting in connection with people. This card is ruled by Mercury, And if we think of Mercury and its associations with Gemini, it's like the exchange of information. It can be about social media and exchanging information between one another. And then the Virgo side of it too is like actually organizing, taking action, being decisive, being discerning about what actions you're going to take, and what you're going to say and what you're not going to say, and things like that. And I feel like your first hurdle is just this inability to take a leap. You are scared. You think that you're not prepared. You think that you don't have what it takes, but you do. You have what it takes to have the relationship and create the relationship that you want in whatever relationship you're thinking of. It is going to involve you to send the first message, or to start the first conversation, or make the move that comes to your mind. When I say, how are you going to get this relationship? Like, what is the first instincts? What are your instincts saying? So I did pull some clarifiers on the Magician, and we had the 7 of Cups, which is about confusion. Some of you might be really worried and confused. This card resonates with Venus in Scorpio. So this can be like you've had too much of a good thing, and it was giving me this impression that you've had a lot of murky experiences through your life, and now that has tainted your current choices. You need to recognize that you have a new fresh set of choices, and you don't have to keep repeating the past. You don't have to keep getting hurt. You don't have to keep having the same conversations over and over again. This is recognizing your ability to choose, and to choose something well. Because there is an issue here where it's like, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't think you have what it takes, if you think you're inexperienced, and basically doing everything you can to put yourself down and stop yourself from taking this step, you're filling yourself with all of these psychological unconscious doubts that really start to manifest as confusing emotions, conflicting emotions that just get you overwhelmed, and then you don't make any choices whatsoever. And then you're just kind of almost left in this weird dissociative state, watching everyone around you have positive relationships, have positive connections, and you're just watching. I get this sense of the phrase when people say it's there is you, and then there's a glass between you, and then you're watching everybody else. And it gives a little bit of dissociation vibes, where because you get so overwhelmed with all the different potential outcomes of how people will react to what you say, or what words you're going to say, or the outcomes, you're thinking too much about outcomes rather than just following your instinct to do and say what comes to mind. It's really interesting because, and I really hope more messages come through for you, just to really kind of fluff you up a bit and give you the first one that comes to mind is very British, just gives you the balls to just make a step. I think you need to forget what you think you know about your inexperience. You keep telling yourself that you lack certain experiences, or that you've had too many negative experiences, and it's you're letting the wrong experiences inform your decisions. And also too, there can be an aspect here of don't go with just what everyone says. If you are thinking of starting new relationships, meeting new friends, meeting new people, you're being guided. Spirit is guiding you right now to go to a certain place, and it might not be the norm that everyone might recommend you to go to get the result that you're looking for. So please listen to your intuition right now. We have the High Priestess coming up. These two cards came up in clarification for the Magician. So it's really interesting because your intuition is telling you where to go. You can feel the gut instinct of what you're supposed to be doing, but then you talk yourself out of it. It feels like this is getting into energy dynamics, but usually what happens is like your soul receives an impulse from the universe. It's like it picks up on a wave. Your soul picks it up and then it transmits it to you, right? And then usually if the connection between you and like your soul's impulse is clear, then it just manifests pretty quickly into physical reality. But there is a blockage. There's a blockage between this impulse coming through and you doing it, and it's like it's filled with a lot of fear. You need to let that go. You need to not overthink it so much. You just need to make an effort. Just make the effort to take the step and stop overcomplicating it. Stop overcomplicating it. This is you trying to psychoanalyze things. You might be trying to psychoanalyze things and try and tap into all of the different kind of like potentials of things, and it's just like this creates an impure energetic system. It kind of creates like a toxicity where it's no longer clean action from spirit. I hope that makes sense. That's how it's coming through. You know, it's you're kind of there's just this sludge getting in the way of like spiritual action and where you're being guided. And I actually think this is like a challenge that people are going through right now across the world. This is not just isolated to you. I think if you're in this group, you are currently going through this balancing act where it's like you've lived life enough now to have accumulated enough upsetting experiences, knocks on, knockdowns, and also emotions are very heightened right now. So you're kind of coming into this space where it's like, well, is this what you want? Because you have to remember that you have a choice. I really feel like, it's really interesting because I felt like when I was first told to do this pick a pile message for the whole thing, I was getting this vibe that like some people don't have any advice. They don't have anyone to go to right now. They don't have a lot of people giving them positive advice and like reassurance. And I feel like that might be for you guys. Because the Fool in reverse as well is that you guys are lonely. But again, you might be surrounded by people. You might have people around you, but you don't feel authentically connected to things, and there's a lot that's going unsaid. And this isn't always about like needing to have all of your emotions like addressed with somebody as well, because I think an interesting thing here as well is like I think you do need to be heard. You need to be heard, and it's like knowing, if you have two people to talk to about your feelings, like who does it make sense? Who does it make sense to talk to? The Magician is saying like, you have enough experiences in your life now to know like, what kind of decisions you can make and not overcomplicate it. It's the difference as well between like Mercury and Uranus. Like Mercury deals with like the lower mind and like logical processing, where it's like, oh, I can either do this and I can do that, rather than multi-dimensional processing that happens on the emotional level, where you're like feeling through all of the different things, versus Uranus and Aquarius energy, where it's like the higher mind trying to process like thousands of like different scenarios on a mental level. Anyway, we don't need to get into that. It's about just be simple. Just be simple. It doesn't need to be too complicated. The next card you have is the Two of Coins. So as a message, what your relationships need from you right now, they need balancing, and you need to prioritize. You need to be prioritizing your time and energy. This is in a very physical sense as well. This is not just about how much emotionally you're giving, which a lot of the time though, the way that you give comes from an emotional place, because we see the hand coming out of the water. Like when you give it, you do tend to like give instinctively, give from this emotional place. And this is more about like physically like kind of mapping out and analyzing like, all right, like, okay, should I be spending more time here? Like, where can I be making more of an effort? And also too, seeing what types of relationships give back to you. You don't want relationships where it feels like you're squeezing blood from a stone, where you're the one where it's interesting because like some of you this is really specific, some of you are like really resistant to be the first one messaging, and it's like being the first one to message somebody isn't that bad, like if they always reciprocate in replying to what you've said, you know, like that's why you're so embarrassed that, you know, it's okay, like if you're the one that's inclined to reach out in the first place, own it. And you will learn within, like, if you do that like 2-3 times and like they don't reply or they don't meet you, you keep kind of getting too specific and you're like, oh, you want them to message you first. I mean, sometimes like it can be a sign that somebody isn't prioritizing us, but some of you are like overly attached to the way your relationships are playing out, and it's more like, is this balance? Like when I talk to this person, do I feel like they're in the, you know, when I ask them how are they doing, like when they answer, do they then ask me how I'm doing? And like, are we equally invested? Because you might be getting too particular about how it shows up and overlooking the value that the relationship actually has. And also too, you have to remember about balancing each other out. I know that I'm not the best at messaging somebody first, and I really appreciate my friends who like come and like grab me and pull me out of my little cave. And in return, like I balance out the relationship in a different way. So they might be somebody who's like quite on top of things, and then I help them to maybe like be more creative or feel like they have fun in their life too. So, you know, you can't always just expect things so specifically like reciprocated when we're all different people and we all balance each other out in different ways. And like yeah, let's go into like what your relationships need from you as well. Like I feel like this is just going to develop on from this. I do feel from you guys that you have a lot of fear. You have a lot of fear, and you're trying to control, like I feel like you're trying to prevent yourself from losing people, experiencing the feeling of loss. So like you distance yourself and like close down like very, very quickly. And this is your guides want to say, and this is your sign that like it's time to like work through like your attachment issues. So we have the sacral chakra. Now the sacral chakra is most commonly known for the chakra of creativity and of like sexual pleasure, but I actually find that it's the center of attachment. Like if you experienced your relationships through your belly, like deep in your belly, then usually the relationships are very much playing into your attachment issues. So when you like have a fight with someone or like things feel uneasy, like is it uneasy in your belly? Because there's a difference between feeling uneasy in your belly and then things playing into your attachment issues versus relationships that get formed into your solar plexus. And then there's also a difference between relationships that go into your heart as well. So some of you are afraid to love people. Some of you are afraid to really let yourself care about people and let yourself get healthily attached. There's also a calmness that you guys need right now. You guys need to find a way of finding your calm so that you can bring that to your relationships. Your relationships want to feel more connected to you. They want to feel like they're having fun with you as well, not taking things so seriously. You don't always want to be having like the serious conversations. This is like, you know, having those tones of like having fun, enjoying each other's company, being creative, and also there's depth here too. Another thing that your relationships want from you is, I feel like emotional support, but Emotional support in a way where it's like they feel accepted for the flaws that they have and feeling loved regardless, feeling like they are loved despite their flaws, and feeling like the relationship itself is strong. I think that that's what your relationships need from you right now. Maybe you've been distant recently, or maybe you have asked for space, or just taken space. They want your affection. They need to hear. I think this with the Magician as well. You need to actively start telling people a little bit more often that you love them, that you appreciate them, that you're fond of them. You have no idea how much it's going to brighten up people's day to hear that from you. You have no idea how powerful your kind words mean. And I think sometimes you are, again, afraid of like sharing that, and you know, it's really on you to kind of like do that work to figure out why that is. You know, I'm a big stand for therapy. But the next card is the 4th chakra. So this is about your heart and your capacity to love deeply. The relationships in your life right now, what they need from you is your depth and that deep capacity to love and to hold them. Every single human on this planet just wants to be loved. We just want to be loved. And you have such a beautiful heart. You have a beautiful heart, and it can literally envelop people into it and make them feel like magic. And I can't help but shake the feeling that like maybe you did that one too many times to like the wrong person, or you're still getting over some kind of burn that you didn't expect. It's really important for you to let the people who hurt you, it's like letting that go and seeing the people around you now who have stuck by you, who even if you've had conflicts, they've not given up on you. They have stayed strong in the relationship, and you need to be grateful for these people. Your relationships need your gratitude. They need your love right now. And asking yourself like what ways like do I want to express my love to these people? And it's like you don't want to do it out of fear of losing the connection, out of fear of losing the attachment, but move maybe if you're feeling all this fear in your guts on something, like try and move your focus, your internal gaze, your internal feelings, like shift up your attention to your heart and start asking your heart, like, and feeling out your heart and being like, okay, like how do I want to love this person? The really cool thing about these cards as well is that they have like they're like energy activators. So you can click pause on this right now and just try and connect in with that heart chakra and start on unlocking that and unblocking that again. I do feel like for some of you, like I would recommend some energy work of unblocking your heart chakra and moving some energies out. I actually have some one-to-one spots open on my private commissions on Ko-fi, where I do energy work. If anyone's interested, you can go check that out. I'm sure it'll be down in the description somewhere. So the next card we have is strength. The frequency of strength supports our ability to harmonize all our qualities and skills towards a strong and balanced way of being. You need to strengthen your relationships. Sometimes you feel like you have no relationships. The issue is actually that you just haven't made a habit yet of habitually strengthening your relationship. So this is like the habits that want to start getting on board. Another side of this too, because I know some of you are listening who are single and you've actually come to this pile asking in your heart, how do I get romantic attractions, romantic relationships, or some of you are looking for new friendships. This is you building strength in how you feel about yourself, recognizing that you are strong. You have been through some shit. You have been through shit. And this has made you a really strong person. And you have to recognize that you are capable. You're capable, you are strong enough, and you can achieve what it is that you want. And for some of you as well, you just need to tap into that strength and realize that you are strong enough to have the conversations that you need to have, okay? The next card we had is Surrender. Now, this originally came out in reverse, and this was giving me this vibe of like, some of you are very shut down where you do not want to yield or soften up to the flow of love and the flow of life. The heart chakra is where a lot of your soul's energy comes from. It's the heart and the solar plexus. And when it's all shut down, like, you don't feel happy about life. Everything becomes a problem, and you can feel really drained, really tired, and just really unhappy. And this was giving me this vibe of like, you are trying to control not being abandoned. You're trying to control you not getting hurt again, because you have had betrayal hits you really bad, like betrayals, grief. You're just really, really scared. And I think just acknowledge that actually, like, you are afraid, and recognize though that you are strong enough to let go. You can let go of the illusion of control, because you can't control other people. We can never guarantee that someone won't betray us and that someone can be in our life forever, because at the end of the day too, like, everyone dies eventually. So what can you give of yourself that you are proud of, that you feel good about, that no one can take away from you? Because realistically, with you being so shut down, with you being so scared to speak up, to take action, these prior bad experiences, or maybe just gut feelings that are like, oh God, like, I just won't find somebody, whatever it is, it's robbing you and taking away from you the things that are important, which is your love, which is your open heart. So there's a bit of a paradox there. It's like you shut your heart down so that you won't avoid, forming meaningful connections and then losing them. But then you're losing the very thing that actually matters, which is your ability to love, your ability to have an open heart. I hope this is making sense. Okay, I have some other cards, so this is gonna kind of just tap in more of like what your relationships need from you, what you need to hear right now. So we have, these are my own cards, by the way, that I've made if you're new. So we have imposter syndrome, feeling isolated, feeling lonely, feeling stinky. This is like, you might be feeling this way. Like, again, this is that fucking glass wall that I was talking about, where it's like, you're watching everyone have connections and have a good time, and you're like, I can't have that. I stink. I'm different. I do feel like there is a core wound here, but it's okay. Like, this is healing, or you're at least starting to work on healing it, because the first step to healing is recognizing, like, this is where I'm at, but this isn't necessarily the full truth. You know what I mean? Like, and again, if you're really lonely and stuff like that, like, you can sit here for years thinking that way, thinking that this is the reality of your situation. And like, yes, it's your experienced reality, but it's also, you can change it. You just need to have the tools and recognize, like, the parts of yourself that shut down. Yeah, because this is somebody who's shut down. This is somebody who doesn't believe that they belong, doesn't believe that they fit in, and it doesn't feel lovable. Which is ironic, because the next card says you are beautiful, you are kind, you need to invest into yourself and notice what makes you feel good. Now, with this card, I do think some of you guys are having like the age-old recommendation of like therapy and investing into yourself, like through those means, investing into yourself with like, you know, whether it's getting massages or a hairdo, makeover, new clothes, the things that can make you feel good. Some of you guys might be getting prompted to invest into like energy work or getting a reading for more personalized advice. My mind goes to there because that's kind of what these are the things that I do to invest into myself. It might be like investing into a class or like a confidence class even. that just helps you to feel good about yourself. Like it's investing into like an interest that makes you feel good. But at the end of the day, like you are beautiful and you are kind. I'm just gonna be honest, like I very much get the vibe that like, you know, you were just a neglected child. Like who you are as a person, like you just didn't get enough love growing up, and this is like manifested all of this. Don't know if that's a bold statement to say, but she's saying it. The next card we have is like surrendering your burdens in reverse. Again, we have 2 cards of surrender really quickly. So I wonder if there is, and that would make sense too. I was gonna say, like, I wonder if there's an instance here for somebody listening where it's like, you know, maybe you're holding on to a relationship that actually like feeds a lot of negative attachment styles that you might have, and like maybe the person that you're with or that you're trying to like form a deeper connection to, all of these triggers are coming up because like you, either one of you or both of you haven't done the work on themselves necessary to like have this relationship work yet, and you're holding on to it, and you don't want to let it go because you're like deeply attached on some level. But maybe it is actually ideal to let this relationship go. There's gonna be people who knows like, is that them? I understand though too, there's gonna be some people who's like, oh my god, is that me? Because especially if you have attachment issues, like me recommending some of this might need to be let go. So I've got some more cards, and hopefully that will help you make sense of what's going on. So because this card is saying like, this is surrendering things to the divine, surrendering your burdens to the divine. Can we get focus on this?
Hello?
Yeah, offering things up, letting the divine take your problems. But this is in reverse, and I was kind of going through like an advice way. So like maybe you need to take more, that's it. You need to take more ownership. You need to take ownership. That's gonna be what makes you feel strong. You keep maybe sometimes like pushing things off in a way of like, oh, like, you know, this is getting sorted, I'm working on this, they're working on that. And it's like, take ownership of the problems that you have. Yeah, if you're scared, take ownership of it. Like maybe this is like it is hitting into like an avoidance vibe of like, you partially recognize the issues, but you're not doing anything about it. Nah, that's not gonna fly anymore. Spirit's on to you. You're getting told off. You need to take more ownership of the issues, your setbacks, the things that are frightening you, because ironically, like it like shines a light on it, and then it won't have so much power anymore. Because the next cards we have is, so this is in reverse, is my card of reactionary cutoff, premature endings. You're trying to avoid emotional pain by ending this connection. This lesson will repeat elsewhere, but this is in reverse. So some of you have given this relationship enough time. Some of you have given your relationship enough chances. Some of you have enough information now to maybe know that it's not working. Like we're too triggering for each other, and it's not fair on either of us. And maybe we can come back again in the future. It is requiring like an honesty, I do feel. Some of you are afraid that like you're cutting off the wrong relationship, but with this being in reverse, it's like, you know, if you're experiencing a lot of pain throughout this connection and you're doing your due diligence to communicate and like work through your stuff, and it's just not really working, I do also think that this is highlighting oh my god, there's a lot of relationship dynamics just like filtering through very quickly. This is also giving me vibes of like somebody who lives their life quite, you know, like you love people, like you're happy for them, you're friends, but then you don't really talk much, and then suddenly out of nowhere, like they like cut you off, like people cut you off, and it's because like you weren't present. It's because you weren't connected to the reality that like you weren't actually putting in much to the relationship. This is interesting. I feel like what your relationships need from you right now, pile one, is that you can't be so like flaky and like wishy-washy and isolated. I just don't think your loner lifestyle is flying anymore, you know? Because I think even sometimes, like, when you've made decisions, like, there's this saying that always comes to mind of like, you're making like, and it's like a personal pet peeve of mine when when people in relationships make solo decisions. They don't talk to you about it. They don't come and have a discussion. They sit in their own head, cycle through all of these different emotions, all of these different things, and they literally come to a conclusion by themselves about something that involves another person, like with no consultation, with no conversation. They have painted a picture of the reality and of how they're going to problem solve that all by themselves without asking the other party, like, hey, like, you know, when you do this, like, this bothers me, or this kind of upsets me, or like, you know, I feel like you're not paying enough attention to me recently. Like, none of that conversation happens, and they like make a decision on their own. And like, that's a natural, that can happen with people who've just like, they've like learned hyper dependence, and like the people in their life have always let them down, and they've never really been able to trust other people. So they've just learned to cut and run and just take care of themselves. And even though those types of people probably have like the biggest hearts that I know when they're connected to it. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Someone's getting burned right now. They have the biggest hearts when they're connected to it, but when they're not, it's so hard to tell where you stand with them. So this is your sign, pile one. What your relationships need from you too, let them know where you stand with them. You know, you're such a great friend. I love you. I want you to know that you're like one of my best friends. I want you to know that you're the best girlfriend I've had. You're the best boyfriend I've had. If you're writing up your bio on a dating site, I'm gonna be real. I'm really looking for like a long-term connection, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I want someone who's gonna pet my dog and watch movies with me, you know, whatever it is, you know. It's like, come clean about it. Like, let people know where they stand with you. I think this is what this is saying as well. There's like, it's like all out in the open, and it's like, it's shown on a physical level. It's like, here's the receipts, here's the proof, here, they've said it. So, you know, then everyone's decisions are on them of like what they're gonna do with that information. The next cards we have is attraction, charm, beauty, confidence, and appearance. Some of you guys are feeling very insecure about how you look right now. This is your green light. If you do have a little bit of spare change, go and buy yourself a fucking hairdo and maybe some new makeup, and buy some new clothes and spruce yourself up, because this is time for you to focus on feeling attractive. So this could be about like working out, going to the gym. What comes to your mind when it comes to, if you ask yourself the question, like, what's going to make me feel attractive? Like, what do I feel attractive in? What is attractive about me? And lean into that, not into like the self-sabotage stuff that might come up, but really looking at yourself and being like, I'm beautiful. Look at this little guy with his little kissy face. He's like, look at my little baby hair. It is so beautiful. The last card is be honest with yourself about your emotions. You need to validate your feelings. You need to open up and share your vulnerability. I think that you've been going solo for so long that you're just used to dealing with your crap on your own. You have been festering on a multitude of different complex emotions, and like, you need to open up and share those things with the right people. Yeah. And I do feel that putting yourself out there on a limb, like, and just being honest with the truth of like how you're feeling and where you're at with things, and like where you're confused. Like, I think one of the reasons why you're restrained in it is because you're afraid of like triggering people or getting triggered yourself, because this is very vulnerable. You know, like, if you open up and be vulnerable Sometimes other people might take your feelings as like, oh, you're saying this about me? What do you mean? And then their attachment issues get triggered. Or otherwise, maybe like they don't reply, or someone seems like they don't care. You can also like ask, like, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like, I don't know if I'm like very progressive or like weird in my relationships, but like, because I've had to heal so much stuff. Like, man, I don't know. I should write a book about my life. It's been crazy, but I've had a lot of issues, and sometimes straight up, like, I'll just say to my fiance, like, I feel like you're not listening to me right now. Like, I'm gonna need you to be present right now, because like this is gonna be a tricky one. And like sometimes I'll just straight up instruct him of like what I need, like just to ride out that little bump of congested, fragile, childlike emotions that is like compounded and internalized years and years and years of abandonment and rejection. And like we have to recognize that like those things, they are like a little rip curl, you know, they're like a wave, and you can't just breeze through it or like walk through it. Like it's like you're the one that's in tune with the ocean, yeah, like you're the one that's going to be in tune with like, oh, I can feel something coming, like there's this, you know, the tsunami's coming, or like the waves are coming. Like you can feel into that, and like you can let people know around you like what's happening with you, because what you're doing, you're just like, I don't know, like, what does this mean? Spirit's like on my hands, just like, it's a circle. I think it's like you're trying to protect everyone else around it, and like you like try and contain. I'm getting like, you know, like the Truman Show, where it's like in this big dome, and it like there's the ocean at the side, but then it meets this, I don't know, it's like you're containing it, but it's like it's not helpful and it's not natural. Okay, I have no idea if this was a helpful message or not. But yeah, pile one, this is your message. This is what your relationship needs from you right now, is you to express your strong, loving feelings towards them, and be honest about where you stand and communicate. Do not be afraid to communicate your feelings, and don't let yourself step over this as a barrier, because you're over this. You're not stinky, and if you feel stinky, there are ways to make yourself feel less stinky, and I want to give you, and Spirit wants to give you permission to overcome that. All right, I hope this made sense. I really do. I feel like I just zoned out and just let my mouth like talk. But if you enjoyed this message, if you enjoyed my content, if you enjoyed my personality, you can go and check out Patreon. We have an amazing community over there. I do tarot nights, where we get in a Discord call, all of us in the community, and we pull cards for ourselves on a theme of the month, and we learn tarot, and we have like really cool discussions. It's a really, really nice place to be. Like, we're still growing, but I think we have just over I think it's over 100 Patreons right now, which is absolutely amazing. And part of that too, you get private videos, you get not private videos like that, like I do Patreon only collective messages, I do Patreon only written messages, and I go into those actively, you know, opening my little intuitive thing. I'm like, yo guys, if there's any messages for anyone in the community, like let me know and I'll pass it on, and I'll just write them, so you get access to all of that. And then at the higher tiers, you can learn astrology from me, and be part of like the astrology class that we do. There's just all kinds of ways that you can support. Obviously, if you're not into monthly subscriptions, which Patreon is a monthly subscription, if you want to pay it forward, I do have a tip link down below. And if you're tight on cash right now, please don't hesitate to just drop a like and just drop a little comment. It really helps. It lets YouTube know that this video was good and that this channel is worth watching and my videos are worth watching, and that means the world to me. So thank you so much, Pile One. I am sending you all the love, especially as you're healing what you're healing, and I will speak to you guys soon. Okay, all right, take care guys, bye. Yo, what's up, pile two? Let's get some messages for what your relationships need from you. So your card, which was face down initially, was the Knight of Coins, which was giving me this impression that you guys need to show more physical signs of your investment and commitment towards your relationships. Now, I was kind of getting this vibe that like, you may have just let your relationships fall a little bit to the wayside. Maybe you've had some different priorities, or maybe you haven't felt like you have enough to give. But in this card, it feels like bringing what it is that you have into the light. And this is giving me this vibe too, where it's like mentally you might be committed, or emotionally you might feel committed, but it's time for you to maybe give a token of that commitment or a token of appreciation, which is more physical than emotional and mental and like verbal. It could also be too, though, I will be honest, this could be a verbal sentiment that's like, you know, physically said, but I would say make it physical. So maybe like write a letter or write something for a person, or like give a gift or something like that that shows your appreciation. Now, on another level too, this can be a physical thing that shows your commitment to something or to somebody. So this could be like an engagement ring or a friendship bracelet or something like that. And another thing that I was feeling though too from this card is that some of you have been a little bit nervous to be so committed or show your commitment to somebody. And I was kind of getting this impression that some of you guys you've been hurt in the past, and the relationships that you're around right now, some of these relationships are really good and positive for you, but it's also still kind of early on, and you really don't want to make the same mistakes that you did last time by becoming too invested in somebody too soon on. So this was giving me, if this applies to you, it was giving me this impression of like playing around with your own intention of commitment and doing the inner work around your feelings around commitment. Because if some of you guys are afraid to commit to what is good for you, then and this can be because of trauma. Yeah, like your body maybe has only known that every time you've committed in the past, that's, you know, you got abandoned or you got hurt or you got let down or something bad happened or it was taken from you. So every time now your body, every time you're wanting to commit or it's time to start committing, your body remembers all the bad stuff that happened the last time it did that. And this is completely unconscious. Yeah, this is not you sat there logically assessing all of this out. This is happening almost like you can feel it, but you don't understand where everything's coming from. And it's important, what Spirit wanted to say was that it's important for the people who are feeling afraid right now around commitment is to help intention get you there. Like making more of an adjustment or an attitude shift or an intention to become more committed to the things that you enjoy, to commit to. It's interesting because it doesn't just feel like to people, honestly. I think if this is showing up in your relationships, this is also probably showing up in other areas of your life that want more of your commitment that you've been afraid to commit to. So I don't know if this is like, I'm just, piled to as like commitment phobes, because I do think some of, there's going to be some commitment phobes listening, but honestly, like, I'm just going to be 100% real. I feel like you guys, you have been there. You've been there where you love with all of your heart and you will do absolutely anything for somebody. And you've really thrown your heart, your soul, maybe your bank account, maybe years of your life into something, whether that's work, whether that's a person, whether that was a marriage, whether that was a friendship, and you had been burned. It kind of feels like things didn't turn out the way that you wanted them to. And I think part of this as well that I'm getting is that you were kind of blindsided by this as well, because you're a fairly smart person. Like, you have good intuition, you have a good gut about things, you have a good know-how about things. And it feels like this whole whatever situation we're talking about and how it didn't pan out, it feels like some of it may have come as a shock. Some of it, though, is a little bit more complicated. Some of it was always kind of like your worst fear bubbling up in the background, or you had like instincts about it, but you chose to ignore it. So now when your body is responding to this commitment situation with fear, you are thinking that it's, you know, oh, is this my gut warning me about this thing? So then it warned me last time and I ignored it, so now I should heed it. And it's like, is it actually really your gut though, or are you just afraid? So, and it's really interesting too, because the base card is the 5 of Cups, which is about previous disappointments and what you had lost in the past. And a part of the advice here is like, you do need to focus on what it is that you have now. You can't just keep looking at the past and what it is that left you. Yeah, the 4 of Wands is in reverse too. So these are like previous foundations that fell apart, previous foundations that you put a lot of your energy into, of your heart into, of your spirit into, that didn't come to fruition. It didn't end up becoming stable. It didn't, whatever it wasn't stable. It wasn't for the long haul. And I think that there's just a caution right now. Yeah. And then underneath that though, we have the 8 of Swords. So this is like a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're flirting with it. It's not quite self-fulfilled just yet, but you do want to be careful that, like, you know, at the end of the day, these old experiences have been haunting you and they are influencing the way that you think about this situation and the way that you're perceiving it, which is making you feel stuck and then not being able to show the commitment and the investment that I feel like your relationships need from you. I just want to kind of like shuffle more of like what good is going to come from you showing this commitment. So, okay, it's really interesting because it's like we have the Tower, and this is making me feel it's like whatever is unstable about the relationships or the situations that you're in, like you choosing to even explore how you want to commit or what level of commitment you can give to this relationship, to this friendship, to this person, or again, to this job or to this situation. Because again, I feel like for you guys, it's like in every avenue. As you begin to explore your levels of commitment, it's going to show you like what is stable, and it's going to like simplify things in a way. Because it's interesting, like the Tower is not a pleasant card. I feel like this is speaking to more of these past situations where it's like you committed to bad situations that had foundational issues, that had foundational flaws. And it's the top part, it's the unstable part that falls away. And I feel like this is saying that, like, firstly, at a basis, you are strong enough to make these decisions and commit to what is right for you. You don't have to. So I'm getting this really specific message of like, you don't have to commit to the full package of somebody or commit to the full package of a situation. Like, commit to the parts that you want to nourish and that you see good in and that resonate with you. And you can choose to not commit to the parts that, you know, no longer work for you. And when you do that, this is what I'm getting from Spirit. When you do that, that will show you what is going to work in your life and what's not. Because there are some people out there who are black and white thinkers, and if, you know, and people with abandonment issues who will feel like their entire world and their entire self is being rejected just because you don't want to stand for, or that parts of the relationship aren't working. And this is the thing, this is how you build healthy structures, is by identifying the parts that are working and the parts that aren't, and thinking of healthy ways to work through this. Then we have the 4 of Swords next to it. Again, we were talking about stability earlier as well. The thing is with the 4 of Swords, it feels like this is kind of like you finding your peace of mind and you being able to relax once you set a boundary, once you address the parts that don't work, and be able to actually unplug, recoup, and rest, because I do wonder if you guys have struggled in the past with like really bad anxiety. Again, I think sometimes like when you start addressing what's gone wrong, maybe all of your fears of like abandonment come back up, or insecurities. The thing is though, with the Four of Swords, and I don't want to frighten anyone, you know, so take a breath, right? Because y'all are like probably the most anxious get the most anxious energy from pile 2. Okay, so the Four of Swords is more of a temporary stability, yeah? And it's like you have to create these pockets of temporary mindful stability for yourself amidst life. Because the thing is, all fours, which are about stability, because 4, you know, it's 4 sides of something, it's a square. It's probably one of the best surfaces. You know, our houses are square, tables are square. It's because it's the most stable architecturally, structurally, you know what I mean? But they always transition onto a 5, which is where it gets into the conflict of things. So this is a message here of no human can ever guarantee stability and security 100% of the time. There are no guarantees. And you are being encouraged by spirit right now and being reminded that your sense of stability can be created inside of you. And think of this, right? So if we have a 4 of Swords, which is about this, you know, a temporary stability, a peace, a rest, a calm. And then we have a 5 of Swords, which is a conflict, an argument. Think of how if you just take a step back from the 5, you can go back to the 4. Sometimes, and I feel like this is just advice for the future. Sorry, a lot of information is coming through. Give me 1 second. Some of you don't realize that you can't aim for 100% stability and 100% security all of the time. There's always going to be parts of your human life where there's going to be insecurity, but the trick is for you to find your own little method and your own little ways to take a step back and get into your calmness, get into your rest, be able to take a step back and create your own calm, because that is what will make you feel secure again. That is what's going to give you your sense of security. It's not about what other people do or don't do. It's not about what labels or what promotion or what your paycheck is going to be. It will always be something that is immaterial. It's a sense of calm that you're going to walk this world with. And what you are doing when you are not committed and when you're like, oh, I don't know whether to commit or not, you're actually putting yourself in this state of instability. You're doing it to protect yourself, but you're actually creating more instability and a lack of trust within not just your relationships, but how you relate to the things in your world. Okay, pile 2? I hope this is all making sense. I'm just kind of channeling right now. I'm like, I don't even know what I just said. But there was another card too of the Queen of Coins. She came out in reverse. So I will be honest, my first instinct is like, you sometimes have a tendency to over nurture or under nurture your relationships and become very overprotective or way too passive and detached in your relationships. 6 of Swords, this is from situations from your past. 6 of Swords is about moving on from baggage, but in reverse, this is like this emotional baggage is still here. Like the oceans, the water, the emotion, you're still being affected by what's happened in your past. Maybe sometimes you think you're over it, but really deep down, like, you know that you're not. How did they get over this? Is this a thing that we can like get over? One of the things they do want to say is like a lot of these old wounds came from a naivety that you no longer possess. some of these old wounds were created from a self that just literally didn't know better. You used to think a lot of good about people, and you know, would brush off your gut instincts. You would give people the benefit of the doubt, not just like once or twice, but you know, we're talking like 20 times, and like over long stretches of time, like 3 years plus, maybe even 5 years. You know, this is not just your average I'm hearing conditioning. I don't even know if that makes sense. This is not your average conditioning. How you feel, how insecure you feel about relationships, how afraid sometimes you get, and the level of hurt. I hope this doesn't sound so left field, but I do feel for some of you, the level of hurt that you guys have been through, it's either, you know, you went through maybe extraordinary circumstances when you were growing up. So I mean, like, particularly, you know, turbulent households, bad situations. We'll leave that as a blanket statement for bad situations. For some of you though, I do feel like this is past life related as well, where it's like there are memories, these traumatic like echoes within your field still, within your energy still, that are actually tied to previous life experiences that you've had. You'll know that too if it's like, if the wound feels like incredibly deep, but you don't feel like you have evidence for it in this life. Sometimes that can just be trauma, and the mind will make you forget. If you struggle as well with like memory issues and things, that is a sign that maybe you have gone through some kind of significant trauma. So this could be a time for you to start healing, maybe going to therapy, and working through these previous grievances so you can finally free yourself from it. Yeah, we have the King of Cups in reverse here too. So this does initially give me maybe this issue stemmed from a father. Maybe okay, this is so specific. Like, I don't know why I'm apologizing, because I'm like, but this instinct, like, in reverse, you guys wanted to be closer to your father or have more emotional nourishment or love from your dad. Maybe the time was cut too short. Maybe you lack it. You just lack that deep fatherly love, that like somebody being proud of you, somebody caring about you, somebody who wants to protect you. And it's like, you know, just that warm presence, you know, of a man's love. And it is interesting because I think, you know, even if you had this love when you were young, again, I feel like there's a few scenarios where like this is definitely a father who's passed away, and who passed away when you still need them now, that kind of vibe. And then another element of it is somebody who just like has an emotionally unavailable father. And you know, we are all equal. We need both. We need a woman's love and we need a man's love. And this is not just speaking on like gender, but I mean like love. Like, we need both. And it feels like, you know, this is the type of love that imparts security onto you. Because the King of Cups, it's like, even though he's like in an ocean, he's like relaxed. He like feels secure. He feels safe. He has a good basis, you know? And the thing is too, it's like, if we think of a King of Cups, it's like he's a man that's in tune with his emotions, but he doesn't let them like get the best of him and still makes logical decisions. He's like the warm, kind father who you can go to when like you need advice, and they're full of wisdom. And you know, they're not going to be the type of person who like who encourages you to spiral or be insecure about things. That they're the person who kind of like props you up a little bit more. So it feels like this is the stem, this is the root of like why this lacks. This is actually a huge source of, or has been a huge source of, depression for some of you guys. Like, there is this deep pit of feeling lost. There's also this like, sorry, I'm trying to put it into words. It's like there's like a deeper, darker shadow part of you that was created because of this environment. The High Priestess is in reverse as well. It makes you feel irrational, and it also makes you like criticize and judge yourself a lot because of it. Anyway, sorry, we just kind of went on a little bit of a rabbit hole. Okay, I'm gonna put these cards away. I'm gonna reshuffle. I'm just gonna take a breath and we'll go back into, you know, what do your relationships need from you? But I hope this message is helpful so far. I really hope this is resonating with you. Whoever's listening right now, because I have no idea. Like I don't know if I'm just speaking to those that are hi. Okay, so what else do your relationships need from you right now? The Empress. Oh, this is your care. This is also to, yeah, your love, your affection, your wisdom, your time, your resources. It just feels like your love, your nurturing as well. They just need your nurturing. Just as simple as your relationships need your nurturing right now. We have the Four of Coins in reverse. So again, some of you keep thinking that you don't have a lot to give or you don't have the resources to give. This is a time to share maybe what little you feel like you have. I'm getting a message now of some of you guys on like an energetic level. When you are always like in this feeling of lack, feeling like you don't have enough to give or you barely have anything to give, in those moments, if you share what little you have, it multiplies. It multiplies almost like magic. And then we have the Chariot in reverse. So some of you might, okay, I'm getting a few messages, be burnt out, not have a job right now, not feel like you have the money, the motivation. You might be waiting on the motivation to give to your relationship. Or as well, maybe you're in, it feels like a little bit of a limbo state, right? Where it's like you're not entirely moving forward. Your energy isn't flowing like forward. So naturally, you're not in a giving way. But the Emperor is saying like you just need to take control of it. You know, you need to, you know, despite these feelings, this is what your relationships need from you. And oh my God, don't be like your dad. Don't be like your dad who, for those that, you know, just have the emotional unavailability, this actually might be showing you what was going on with your dad. They might have felt like, you know, they were always on the grind, Four of Coins in reverse, like they have to work all the time, or they don't have it to give. They're too lazy, they're too distracted, or they're too busy. But the Emperor is saying like, take control, feel empowered, find your ways of feeling empowered. Okay, it's interesting because the base card is Three of Cups in reverse. So this is making me think that like, there is something emotional interfering in your relationship. This could be a full-on physical other person. Maybe as well, maybe you've had an experience where like there's been a third-party influence within your connection with somebody that complicates the connection. And again, this is just saying like, take control of it. You don't have to be like a victim to the energies, the emotions, the situations, and the scenarios that you are in. What do your relationships need from you? Ace of Swords. They do need your honesty. If you need to apologize for not being so active in somebody's life, then do it. I would say too, you know, this is like, if this is a habit, then be honest about like, you know, is the, how sure are you that you can really get rid of this habit? Because like, is it fair to somebody that you just like apologize, even though like, you know that you're not really fixing what is causing this as an issue? And this is just saying like, be honest, be clear, be forthright. This is the best way to get through all of the complicated feelings as well. Even if you're just saying like, you know, hey, like, I need to be honest, like, I'm fine, like, I want to give you more commitment, but I'm finding it hard. See what gets said. see what gets said, because it's those types of honest conversations that cut right through the BS, and it will show you where you land and will give you that clarity that gives you stability as well. And I think I am hearing that like sometimes you're very anxious to be like honest with somebody, but when you're honest, it really will show you where you stand. Yeah, Queen of Cups in reverse. You're very like influenced by, I would say, energies, on a psychic level, as well as like the emotions of things. I also think too, either you're very sensitive, or the people that you're dealing with are very sensitive, and you're trying to find the best way to go about that. You keep holding off the Hanged Man. You keep umming and ahhing about the situation. You're taking time to reflect. You're maybe even taking a little bit of space, or had taken space from the relationship, so that you know a little bit of a better idea of like what direction you want to take things. But I also kind of get this sense too that if you overthink things too much, you're gonna invite all of this past energy and all of this like complicated energy that you've been through. Oh, this is so weird. Sorry, I just keep getting like loads of downloads. Because another thing that's coming through for someone who's listening right now is that some of you like keep getting into this phase of life where it's like you create movement and momentum and things start to go well, and then you convince yourself that you're exhausted, and then like you start to slow down. But then when you slow down or even pause, if you pause for too long, you start to like go back and like start to reverse. And there's something about, I'm seeing a boat. It's really weird imagery. I'm seeing a boat, and it's like going forwards, and then you do need to rest. Yeah, like everyone needs rest, so you can rest. You can stop off at a port, you know, and anchor up. But it shows if it stays there for too long, I'm seeing like it starts to like drift backwards, but then it starts to like capsize and allow water into the boat. And that usually is a symbol, like when water comes into a boat, it usually means like subconscious emotions, subconscious energies, spiritual energy, psychic forces are starting to flood the body and affecting your direction, right? Because boats are always a form of travel and like showing where you're going, and a symbol for where you're going. So that's a message for somebody. Like when you stop for too long, yeah, I'm talking like over 2 weeks long. It's just, I don't know if this is just how you are as a person. I know this is just a general reading, but I know someone's resonating. It might just be how you are as a person. You're just very sensitive to psychic energies, and they just over time, when you're not in some kind of motion, it does flood you. Yeah, so you're gonna be the type of person that needs like extra energy clearing and like those types of things to help you feel fresh and stay fresh. I love the base card of this though as well is the Star, which again, this is like giving me vibes of astrology. So maybe this is something that is in your astrology chart where you're somebody who's a lot more sensitive. The Star though is about believing in yourself, and you need to foster some more faith and more hope that I'm hearing is coming more from like a celestial place, like divine faith, divine hope. Knowing that things are gonna work out, knowing that you're gonna be okay, and knowing that you are being guided. Please know you are being guided, you are being looked out over, but this is a scenario and a situation that like you are capable of rising above it, but you have to believe in yourself. Okay, I don't know how long I've just spoken for, but thank you so much, Pile 2. I think this is Pile 2. Thank you so much, Pile 2, for letting me do your reading. My private readings are going to be opening up again soon. I've got some more slots opening up, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be in my Ko-fi link down below, Ko-fi link in my commissions. If you want to see more of my content and support my channel, you can go and join our Patreon community. Every month we do a tarot night, which is a really fun way of getting to know people and doing your cards and getting better as well at reading your cards and trusting your intuition. I'm the one that hosts it, so like if you want to know more about me or just like hang out, then I'm gonna be there. And I co-host it with a couple of friends, and it's like a really nice, enjoyable, laid back, fun way of learning tarot and just like being around like-minded people who really want to help others and want to foster your own ability to listen to your own intuition. And especially too, you know, if you're somebody who goes through these kind of like weird energies, it is so relieving to be around others who have those same type of experiences, because sometimes we forget that like being a psychic, being a sensitive, it's not common. It's not everyone is as active or activated as maybe we are. So finding your folk who get it is really nice, and especially too when it comes to interpreting and making sense of psychic phenomena, because all of this flooding that's happening as well, you might be trying to make sense of this psychic phenomena that you're getting, but you might not actually be getting actual clarity from it. Someone's listening who needs a community around them that helps them to like make sense of these kind of things. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and show me some love down in the comments if this was you. I'm sending you guys my blessings. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you for being here. Please, if you're not already, subscribe to my channel, like the video, and comment down below, all that good stuff. It shows YouTube that this channel and my videos, they're worth listening to and they're worth subscribing to, and it's good content. So I really appreciate it. Anyway, I'm gonna go record the next pile, so I'll speak to you guys soon. Take care. Bye. Yo, what's up, pile 3? I hope you guys are doing good. So let's get into your messages of what your relationships need from you right now. So the first card, which was initially face down, this is the one that you chose to do your pile. It was the King of Coins. Now, it was really interesting because originally my mind was kind of going blank when this card came up, like, what does this mean? And then I kind of just got flooded with this download of like, pile 3, you guys are actually doing pretty good in your relationships right now. You have learned so much from your past experiences about when to give, how to communicate, how to give to your relationships. And you're actually pretty on track. I do feel like you are doing all of the right things for your relationship. And there was another message though that was coming through, that you guys don't need to prove yourself to other people. And this is really interesting because I was kind of getting this realization that like, you guys are making all the right moves, but sometimes you get too influenced by everyone else's anxieties and you convince yourself that you're not doing enough, or that your moves aren't the right moves, or that, you know, the way you decide to do things and the way that you interact with things, you're convinced that somehow you're the problem or that you're the one that's doing something wrong. And I was getting this impression that like you put this pressure on yourself to always do the right thing because you've had relationships in the past or situations in the past where you were made to feel like the bad guy for actually doing the right thing. And what I'm hearing very clearly from spirit is like, it's healthy people versus unhealthy people, and how when you're a healthy person and you're trying to, you know, do the right thing for your relationship, be honest, communicate openly. If you're with an unhealthy person who's reactive and judgmental and isn't able to regulate themselves, they will make you feel like the bad guy. And I feel like pile 3, and we'll get into some more cards too, right? But pile 3, one of your main messages is that Spirit want to reassure you that you are doing a good job in your relationships right now. And sometimes you are letting the anxieties of how other people feel influence you, and sometimes you can fall into always having to prove yourself, or having to, I'm hearing explain yourself, but I don't think it's as easy as that. So I'm gonna shuffle, and we're gonna get more messages. So Spirit, tell me more. Tell me more about what we're getting. Right, 10 of Cups. So this is interesting because this is like, you're emotionally fulfilled. I feel like you have good people around you. You've taken the steps to bring nurturing into your life. You have a community even around you that like appreciate you, that adore you. You've got good friends. 9 of Coins. It's interesting because like I keep kind of going blank on this pile, and I think I don't know if this is just because you guys haven't heard this before. That's the only impression I'm getting. I don't know why I'm going blank. Maybe this is news to me as well. Maybe I'm in this pile and this is just news, so it's like coming through like weird. I'm like, wait, what? Is that right? But which is the energy. This is the energy of the message, is like you're doing the right thing, but sometimes you're like, wait, really? Am I? I've never even been able to like hold a friendship down before. Like, am I really doing this right? What the heck? But the 9 of Coins is saying that like maybe recently, you know, you've had some distance, or you've had like a vacation, or you've taken a break for your own personal reasons. 9 of Coins is like, you know, you might have gone on like a vacation or like taken time for yourself. And maybe this is like the first time you had maybe like refaced some insecurities about what you're doing for your relationships. It's interesting too, because it's like it makes me think that maybe you had some kind of vacation, or like you are going to be taking some kind of vacation or taking some kind of trip in order to like give to your relationships, if that makes sense. Like maybe you've had a long distance visit, or you're going to be, and maybe some of you have just been like, I don't know. It feels like there's some kind of travel involved, which typically the 9 of Coins doesn't mean travel. But the impression I'm getting though is that like you guys were in like an abundant place where you were able to take some kind of trip, and that trip has either taken you towards a relationship, or maybe without meaning to, it's taking you away from some relationships, but not in a negative way. But from this, it's kind of like heightening your anxieties, or showing you where and how far you've really come. A message for some of you is that like sometimes, because of the relationships that you've had in the past, when you guys are distant with people for a little bit, or you're distant from some of your relationships, that's when like things get a little bit rocky. But there is something about how, even though there's distance, this is the most secure you've ever felt. That's the message. All right, but what do their relationships need? I mean, do if anything, you know? I feel like this is gonna be more about like what you need. Because I feel like you're doing enough, but this is more about like how you can help yourself, because sometimes you keep getting distracted or influenced and like anxious. I feel like it's like you just still don't feel good enough yet. Page of Cups in reverse. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this just feels like it's like old emotions, and feeling kind of like this is just very different for you. This relationship and these relationships that you are in right now, there's an element of it where it's like it's very different, it's very out of the box. And in reverse though, I feel like there is like an emotional paranoia. There is a fear of like, if people are petty, if people are gonna gossip, if people are gonna be immature and take something in an immature way. And it's like, but this is your own thinking, this is your own thoughts, worries, fears, anxieties, and this is just a reminder that like everyone is on your team. Not everybody is the same person. Everyone is going to think differently. It feels like this is also too, it's very practical. The people around you the people around you right now and in your relationships, they are collaborating well together, but they're also being practical. So usually the card of friendship is like 3 of Cups. And that's like an emotional celebration and a bond between everybody. But this is more like relationships that just make sense and making sense of relationships. So like, I know this is like really specific, but I'm doing what this pile does, where it's like, even though what you're doing makes sense and what you're saying makes sense and your actions are correct, you keep second guessing yourself because this is like so new. And like, you've never been surrounded by people before who actually like appreciate you and see you and, you know, see that you are just as good as them and like they want you to be a part of things. You know, and like the 3 of Coins is giving me this vibe as well of like, in your relationships, you want more collaboration with your relationships. And this is just saying too, like, you know, especially if you're introducing like multiple relationships to one another. So maybe you're like crossing streams. So like maybe you have a friend and you want them to meet like your other new friend, and you know, maybe it might not make sense for them to be friends, and you have to like, rather than spiraling and worrying that like these people are going to be like petty or unhealed about it, because that's been your prior experiences is like immature people and the fear of like gossip and all that kind of stuff. This is just saying like, you know, at the end of the day, like even if they don't mesh well together, they both collaboratively have your best interests at heart, and that's what's going to help you move forward. And I don't know if some of you guys need a permission slip for this, but you have the 8 of Wands, which is like, if you guys do feel like you need an honest conversation about this situation, sometimes it's not always like socially appropriate to like have it so clear cut in front of you and be like, do you like my new friend? Like, just like honesty is important right now. This is Mercury in Sagittarius. This is about being direct and honest. It might feel a little blunt sometimes, like, but it just is what it is. Like, that's how you have to take the 8 of Wands sometimes, is like, hey, like, I want you to just be honest with me, and I need you to like just say what it is. And I think sometimes maybe, you know, if you're in that situation where it's like, oh, but like, you know, I can see that you guys could be good friends. Like, why aren't you guys meshing? Like, the King of Swords is in reverse. So this is like, yeah, logically, it might, you know, it might seem like it would make sense for them to be friends, but sometimes like people just don't mesh in the way that you think they're gonna. And also too, it's like, you don't want to pressurize it. It has to happen naturally. The King of Swords in reverse is like, yeah, well, this makes sense, so it has to happen like this. Or is being like it could even be start to get judgmental of like, well, why don't you like them? Why is my friend being like this? Because they're being this way towards my other friend. And it's like, as long as they're not you know, being gossipy or rude and disrespectful, as long as like what they're saying kind of makes sense, like, and they have your best interest at heart, that's all that matters. For some of you as well though, like, you guys might be in a situation where like, you're a good person, you're in a good situation, you're a good friend to have, but the people that are around you, maybe they are the gossipy kind. I do feel like there'll be people listening to this who like, you know, people who've outgrown like immature relationships, and like you're entering these new solid ones, and there'll be some people probably listening who like, maybe you are, you know, surrounded by shit stirrers, or people who you know, like they're being snarky and snide, and they're like purposefully being like not cooperative, and just stirring the pot because they have nothing better to do. That's a different energy. I think it's worth saying too that like adult relationships, like it's okay to discuss like your perceptions of other people and it not be bitching. It really is all about intent and what you're trying to, like, how you're going about it, and like what is actually driving you to like say these things. Because, you know, it's different if you're like intentionally wanting to stir the pot because you're bored versus someone who's like, man, somebody introduced me to their friend the other day and like, I don't know what it is, but I just get a weird vibe. There is a difference, and you have to understand that too, that there is a difference, especially too, for some of you listening, you're wanting to get like a second opinion. You might be wanting to get a second opinion about something, but you don't want to be considered like, you know, like bitchy or gossipy or like you're stirring the pot. And it's really weird because like now I'm getting this message of like maybe you've even tried to have like an honest conversation about how you're feeling, and like, you know, if the other person on the other end is emotionally immature, then they might blow it out of proportion and like spiral about it. And at the end of the day though, it's like all you can do is reassure them that like, look, you know, I just want to maintain my connection with you and keep like us clear, and you know, I want to, you know, have your back, and, you know, I respect you and I love you and I want you to have good relationships. Just unfortunately, like, these are my boundaries around this thing or that thing. And like, you know, can we just have our own separate connection, you know? Right. What else is being said? Okay. So the world is in reverse. So it's weird because this is giving me a vibe of like, you want there to be some kind of sense of completion, or for everything to kind of fall into its place. And I think this is mostly because you have like anxiety and anxieties about prior situations and connections you've been in, and like still just, I feel like you're maturing into knowing like who is good for you and who isn't. You, in order to settle your anxieties, you always want some kind of like sense of completion, because like knowing where everything is and knowing where everyone's at and like having things be complete, that is a way of soothing your anxiety. But unfortunately, there is a larger process that is taking place that is beyond your control. People have to be able to grow. People have to be able to evolve and expand. And this is making me feel like, you know, it's not black and white. Like, you can't just be like, oh, are you going to be friends or not? You know, no or yes. It's like, well, maybe, you know, this is, make room for maybes. The King of Swords in reverse as well might be, you know, a male in this situation might be thinking in a little bit of like black and white, and you need to allow for like more nuance and allow for more gray areas. And also too, with the world in reverse as well, it's like some things are just not meant to be, and that's okay. We have the Queen of Wands though, so this is saying like you can still feel confident and joyful and like enjoy people's company even if you don't end up being best friends. Like, it really does feel like this message of like enjoying things as they are, enjoy people as they are. This is also saying as well, like, it almost feels like finding your peace and your enjoyment of people despite their flaws, but also too, like, you know how close proximity you want to be to somebody who displays things that make you feel uncomfortable. You know, it's like you get to choose like who your acquaintance is, who you're kind of friendly with, who you're best friends with, who you're like super best buddies with. There are layers to it. And you have to feel confident enough in yourself that like you're doing the right thing and that people enjoy you and that you are lovable, and like you're also beyond people abandoning each other because of petty situations. All right, the only person that's gonna like abandon or like get petty and like throw a tantrum is going to be the person who becomes unreasonable and lets themselves spiral over it. So don't let that be you. And if you are someone who is like that, then having an honest conversation. Hey, I'm spiraling. I love you guys a lot. I love my relationships a lot, but my relationship doesn't feel like it's working out right now. Have somebody that you can confide in that will give you like, hey, I'm looking for your honest opinion on this. You know, I feel like this is actually, yeah, Ace of Coins. It feels like this is actually kind of divinely guided, even though the situation, I keep hearing like sometimes you feel like all of this anxiety doesn't belong in where you're at in your life right now. Maybe you feel like you're too old for this. Maybe you feel like, you know, oh, this relationship that I met was really, really great. So if my old friends don't like this person, it means that they're bad. Like, it's more complicated than that. This feels like the divine is trying to help you to grow. And the Five of Wands is in reverse. So this is to help you to conflict resolve. Some of you guys may only know how to just avoid conflict and avoid people or avoid situations where things get into conflict. But actually, this is resolvable. This is resolvable. And it's not resolvable in this like, everything's complete, we have all the jigsaw pieces. It's more like on an inner level, you know that this is what it is, things are as they are, like, and you're doing your bit to make sure that you're showing up for your relationships, and you know, you're not gonna be the petty one about it. I'm gonna pull, where am I going with it? My spirit's like, this way, take different cards. Should we do this? Okay. Okay, this is the first pile that Spirit had like, get the Oracle cards out. So maybe there's a card that wants to come out in here. What do you want to say, Spirit? What do we need to know about this? Okay. Yeah, some of you guys, in a way for you to avoid tension in your relationships, you just cut people off. You cut people off and like you start to think in black and white. Again, reminder, you have been doing a really good job to maintain your relationships. Don't fall back. Don't fall back into bad patterns. Also, the card fell on the ground. Don't let yourself fall back into bad patterns of like cutting people off, because this is a more nuanced situation. It's not black and white. The interesting thing so this is a Oracle card deck that I made myself. And the imagery is like somebody cutting the cord between them and another person. And you can see how the one guy is like very emotionally reactive and the other person's just like, what the hell? Like the other person has no idea why that person feels the way it feels. And it's like, it's not like the relationship is even warranted to be cut off yet. And this is why in the description it says reactionary cutoff and premature endings. It's like you're trying to, the world in reverse, in order to gain control and to like create a sense of completion within your situation, to feel control or to feel like you can turn over the new leaf, which oftentimes that's what people like, that makes people feel like they're in control. That is a way that people have learned to, like, we've been trained to do that. You know, turn over a new leaf. Oh, just say sorry. And then it's over with, you know, like it's a natural way we've been trained to like create and gain a sense of security in ourselves again. Yeah. And like what you've been doing, or maybe the people that you are dealing with right now, they have this natural tendency to cut people off and prematurely end relationships in order to avoid emotional pain or to gain control. You have to realize that this lesson will repeat elsewhere. So whether your lesson right now is learning how to handle people like this or learning how to not do this yourself, this is the divine has given you this like challenge. So we have a card of, you are beautiful, you are kind, invest into yourself, and notice what makes you feel good. Now, this initially came up in reverse. So maybe when these types of scenarios are going down, you feel like the crappiest friend in the world, the shittiest person in the world. You feel mean, you feel like you've got your dark side up. you don't invest into yourself or you don't invest into your relationships, you pull away, you cut off, and you no longer notice what makes you feel good anymore. Everything just makes you feel bad. Everything just turns into like a darker shade of what it really is. And this is a family pattern. This is the card that flew out onto my floor. So this is really important because this is talking about your ancestors and your DNA and a family pattern. This pattern didn't start with you. You didn't invent this from thin air. This is something that maybe your mom does, or maybe your dad does, or maybe your sisters do. Oh my gosh, one moment. And it's important that this gets healed, or that healing work starts to get done on this. And this is not just your regular type of healing. This is deep, especially if it's something that is instinctual because it's been passed down through your blood and through the people that raised you. These types of things can be much more difficult to deal with. And then pulling into some more of this. So, right, a way that you start to compensate for these feelings is withholding unfairly, having really high expectations for other people, expecting people to win your love, expecting people to be very generous to you, but in the meantime you're really guarded and you're being quite selfish and need to loosen up. Or of course, you know, the person that you're dealing with in this situation, they're trying to, the way that they try to like maintain and soften this out is by withholding unfairly and having really high expectations of you. Okay, I just pulled another card. I'm just letting them kind of come out like this. So we have herbal remedies, flower essences, healing elixirs, and medicine. So I'm gonna have a think of what herbal remedies and flower essences might help with this. One that comes to mind is chicory. So flower essences, if you guys haven't heard of flower essences before, oh my gosh, I'm really big fan of flower essences. They've probably been one of the biggest integral parts of my own healing journey. I've been into like energy healing, astral work, crystals, aromatherapy, like loads of different things. Flower essences have been the biggest game changer. And basically what it is, it's like the energy of a flower infused into water, and each flower is basically they're a helper. They spiritually aid you in assimilating different types of energy. And especially too, when we're talking about deep healing, this is, flower essences get deep. They literally work with your energy. And the thing is too, you're not having to pay out the ass for expensive practitioners who like literally work through your energy. I mean, you can do that too. I wouldn't be surprised if like that is something that you feel drawn to do to help like move these patterns away, or this is what, you know, your friend or the person in the relationship might need. But flower essences like help move out that stuff too. If I remember to, or if you're a pile 3, like please ask me for a link on like some links for chicory. Chicory is a flower essence that helps with people who, out of insecurity, they become like overly attached to people and like flood other people with their energy in order to, and it's like they're always having to like dip their toe into everything, and they're quite emotionally dramatic. And it gives me tantrum vibes. Like if you end up going in like big emotional tantrums a lot, it's not always your fault, you know. It also as well might even feel like energetically a part of you goes into a tantrum when these difficult relationship situations happen. So I'd recommend chicory. If any more come to mind, I'll try and let you guys know if I remember, because I'm not very good at remembering these kind of things. But yeah, I feel like, because this is the thing too, depending on what situation you're in, there'll be different herbal remedies for you guys. So I was like trying to get an answer for like a good AOE flower essence, the one that's coming through, is chicory. When I try and ask for any more, the spirit are telling me that it's more on an individual basis. So if it does interest you, come and get a reading with me, and I will come and look into your energy, take a look at your patterns, and recommend you a flower essence for it. The last card we have is change, transform, evolve, new life cycles, positive movement forward, and movement forward. So I do want you to know that this stuff is ready to change. It's ready to be evolved. This isn't going to be a pattern that this person or yourself always has to live through over and over and over again. It is ready to change now. Okay, so I hope that made sense. Pile 3. For the most part, what your relationships need from you, like you're giving to your relationships in a positive way. It's just this side of things, which feels like your own inner world, or your navigation of another person's inner world, is kind of confusing because this stuff is so emotionally reactive. I feel like some people don't realize sometimes, like, relationships can be some of the most triggering and activating situations, you know? It brings up so much stuff in us, and in order to heal truly is, you know, was working through this and basically not being abandoned in the process. So I will say this, like, if you're on the other end where, like, you're new to seeing somebody react this way and it's confusing for you, please be compassionate and know that, like, they need some deep healing. And when they react this way, like, it is just parts of themselves, like, really intensely trying to protect themselves and really trying to protect the most fragile, sensitive parts of them that have been severely hurt before. And also, if you are this person, you know, please be compassionate towards yourselves, because it's a deep wound, and you don't want to judge yourself even more for what you're going through. But it is ready to heal now. It is ready to start being, you know, brought light onto it. So yeah, I hope this reading really helped, pile 3. I'm sending you guys all my love. If you guys want to support my channel or take a look at more of my content, you can go check out my Patreon. We have an amazing community over there full of, like, lovely people. I love my Patreon so much. We do tarot nights every month where we have a spread of the month and we pull our cards, and we have a big group call discussion, and it's really sweet, and it takes part, it's part of the Patreon, but then it happens within the Discord. We have a Discord server. But yeah, once a month we do a little tarot meetup, and then also too, if you access that, you also get things like I do, like, written messages and monthly updates on the energies, the current energies and themes, and I get spirit messages as well for my Patreons and post them. So yeah, it also supports these videos happening too. It's a really good way to show your love and appreciation. But if you are not interested in that, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Let me know how you enjoyed this video and if you have any feedback, and it also really helps my video hit the algorithms and let YouTube know that my channel is worth watching and supporting. So yeah, anyway, take care, pile 3. I appreciate you guys so much. Bye. Yo, what's up, pile 4? I hope you guys are doing good. So we're gonna get into your messages of what your relationships need from you right now. Off the bat, like, more than any of the other piles, I was feeling like a little bit stumped on this one, and it was giving me this impression that, like, there is two very different types of people that are going to be drawn to pile 4. And as we go through the messages, we're going to be kind of, like, whittling down which pile, or, like, which side of this pile you fall into, because Spirit was telling me that, like, there are some people in this pile that need to be more patient with their relationship and stop expecting so much of a reward, or so much of a harvest from their relationships when, like, it hasn't been enough time yet, things haven't grown yet, not enough has been put into it, versus the people who have overgiven quite a lot, spent a lot of time or a long time nurturing a relationship that doesn't seem to be producing much. So that's like the first thing, which is why it kind of felt confusing, because like I've been in that situation too, where it's like you're in the position where you've given a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, but have you done it efficiently? You know, you might have spent 2 years, 3 years nurturing a relationship, but was it really nurturing? So there's an aspect of like, you know, is this a time to walk away, or are you just not using your energy efficiently? Like, you know, have you just not quite figured out what you really need to do in order to sustain relationships versus and maybe not even versus, you know, I don't want to like pit the two sides against each other, because maybe you can see parts of yourself in both sides, because I know I can, but the other side is like they're not doing enough. And I think and sometimes like wanting the rewards of a relationship to kind of come through when they haven't put in the time, when they haven't put in the work. And it can be interesting because this side might hear this side's message and be like, oh yeah, like I've done a ton, and like I just need to walk away now. And it's like, but actually you're expecting far too much from a relationship that's like not had its like chance yet, or not really been through enough seasons to really produce fruit. So Spirit want to say though that the way you can tell the difference is time, okay? And I'm like quoting my therapist right now, but my therapist kind of said that it usually takes on average about 3 years to start to like actually feel comfortable and like trust somebody. Sometimes it can take a little bit sooner than that, but on average, he said that it takes about 3 years for clients, for him to like, you know, really start to feel comfortable with him. And that's 3 years of like weekly, you know, every week, you know, meeting him, or like 3 years of kind of like knowing one another. So bear that in mind. Another thing I want to say too, which is so funny actually, maybe 3 is the magic number, because the next bit of advice that Spirit want me to share is like a thing about businesses and self-employment. So traditionally, when you're going to get like business advice for your own business, they say that it's not until like after 3 years that you even start to see a return on your investment. Okay, so it takes at least 3 years to produce an actual like bounty or harvest that is more than what you've originally put into it, right? So, and some people don't, I'm kind of going to go on a tangent. Some people don't know that. Some people, I know social media is super popular these days, and people like kind of come into it like, oh, I'm going to start, you know, sewing channel and that's gonna be my job now. And it's like y'all yeah, and they expect that they're gonna get, you know, a solid income in like a year's time, and they sorely underestimate it and end up giving up early because they haven't been aware of or made aware of like the natural timing of how long it actually takes to usually get some kind of harvest or produce from something you've invested your energy into. So from what I know of business and like self-employment, from what I know of my own personal experiences with relationships, and from what I've understood from my therapist about relationships, 3 years is usually enough time to give you an idea whether like you need to cut your losses or try a new approach. I do think it's a good idea too though. Like, I mean, there is things you can like edit along the way to help your approach to like hit that 3-year mark so that you produce a reward. I mean, some people get it really lucky and like they have the magic materials or they have the magic so that they don't need, if you don't have the magic already, you have to wait for the magic number, which is 3. You know, I have a friend who I think it took them about less than, I think it was 6 months before they absolutely like blew up on the platform that I stream on, which is Twitch. But I also know them as a magical person too. They are a magical person to be around. I adore them to pieces, and they are magical. Like, they're absolutely a magical person. So this is part of the messages that are coming through, guys, right? Be mindful of this type of timing, right? And if things, you know, maybe you get into a magical relationship, yeah, where you meet your soulmate and all that stuff, then that might trump the 3 years. I know with my partner that I'm with, you know, it started out quite quickly. And in fact, before this situation and before the relationship that I'm currently in, I was quite cautious of anything starting too fast because, you know, all that glitters ain't gold. I've had relationships that like I thought were good and trustworthy and I put a lot into, and actually I didn't really know them, and actually the relationships wasn't sustainable, and it didn't even make beyond 3 years. So that's something to like put into perspective of like, you know, sometimes you will meet these like magical people where things do pick up a little bit more quickly, but still the 3-year mark is usually where, you know, most things either, you know, split or you have to revise things, okay? And 7s are inherently a struggle, okay? We have the 5s in tarots, which is like straight up conflict, but 7s are like these deeper, more philosophical struggles. Yeah, they're not straightforward decisions like a 2 where it's like it's either this or that, because sometimes we can like oversimplify a 7 issue, right, of like, should I cut my losses or should I not? But it's like, actually there's like so many different options and avenues, and 7s as like an angel number can also be about learning and higher learning and divine lessons as well. So think of all those times that maybe you had those magical relationships that like, you know, didn't work out in your favor in the end, but you probably learned a lot, and you probably felt the divine touch in those relationships when they first started. So, you know, what your relationships need from you right now, just to like kind of go back and like simplify, is like, you know, recognizing that there is a divine timing to things. Please give your relationships the benefit of like knowing that there's divine timing, and sometimes things like need more patience from you, and your relationships might need to be more patient with you as well. And knowing too that like, if you're in a situation with your relationships right now where they've not produced the results that you want, how about we take a look at the tools that you're working with and see what you can learn about yourself and learn about the other person from the data and the information that you do have. And even so, this could produce more questions in order for you to learn more about, you know, why people make certain choices. And, you know, small burn for somebody who's listening, like, not all relationships are going to be like the Disney Channel. You know, we have, as a society, through our movies, through our media, we have been kind of fed a lot of BS about how romantic relationships work, and it kind of gets you to fall in love with this delusion and this fantasy that completely ends up spoiling the real magic of, you know, what it means to have a good relationship. And also too, it means that sometimes we overlook the hard work that it actually takes in order to maintain a relationship too. So with that being said, your relationships need some hard work from you right now. You might need to make a little bit more effort to put into them, to invest. Sevens are about investment, and investing your time and energy so that there is something that you can harvest in the future. So let's pull some more cards for some messages, some additional messages of what your relationships need from you right now. I do feel like there's going to be more of a specific scenario that wants to come through. I will be honest, one scenario that keeps like kind of butting its way in is like somebody listening to this right now has been going through like quite a hard time after they just decided to walk away or end something that was that they were investing their time, energy, and money into. And maybe you overlooked or didn't realize like that this relationship or this thing that you were investing your time, money, or energy into was investing into you back, but more so on an energetic level. It feels like it feels like someone's just like quit therapy or like potentially quit on a relationship that was like quite good for them and quite necessary for them. And as soon as you've walked away from this, like you've been feeling the wobble, or you've been feeling like kind of crap, like you've been feeling really crappy. This is just, I feel like this might just be for one person, but if you've been feeling crappy after like walking away from that type of situation, I feel like Spirit is saying like kind of go back and reassess, because maybe this was more of an impulsive decision. With the Knight of Swords, this is like you kind of took a step without thinking, or you took action without really necessarily thinking about all the complications and all of the different scenarios, right? Because again, it's like you've reduced the situation to like, I either do it or I don't do it, and you haven't really acknowledged how valuable and truly I'm hearing the word spiritually transformative it is to invest into something that is worthwhile, right? Like you'll never get anywhere in life where it's like as soon as something's an inconvenience, you just like stop. That's not, maybe that works when you're like 5 years old, but like it doesn't really translate when you get older. And especially for some of you listening, you guys are on a higher spiritual journey as well. And from what I know from my own spiritual journey is that sometimes like even when I'm not getting results, and I'm disappointed in that, or maybe something's happened and like I don't feel like I have the energy to invest into some things, sometimes I feel like it's a divine challenge to re-understand, take the time to understand and recommit differently in order to it's like I'm investing into something that's beyond me, and the universe takes care of the rewards. Now, this doesn't mean like needlessly, without any kind of analysis, like bleed all of your resources, your time, your energy, invest it into everywhere. But, sometimes with the sevens as well, some of you need to hear that like, sometimes this is a divine trial and a divine lesson in order to like show you what you're made of. And I always like use my own freaking experiences as like a story, but there's so many times where I have wanted to quit therapy, even just from the point of like I'm struggling with money, I'm tight on cash, and I've always had to like, I could run away with all of the one-sidedness that's just basically supporting me to give up. Or I can take a step back and like really understand that like, firstly, usually the resistance that I'm feeling and the desire to quit is most oftentimes like fear-based and not actually reality-based. And every time like I've had those fears, I've brought it to my therapist and I've like said like, look, like this is what's going on, but I can tell that there's something more to it. It's complicated. It's a 7. It's not a 2. It's not a 2 decision. It's 7. There's more pieces to the puzzle. And I've used that support from my therapist because he has a far superior understanding of psychology, not spirituality, but of psychology, where he's like, yeah, you know, this is this is that, like, this is where this is. And you know, I made that decision even to just recommit to my own healing journey. And then literally the next week, the week after that, I started to make huge progress in my healing. And I've had these types of like culmination decision points where, again, not black and white decisions, where I've really had to make more of a complex choice. That's what a 7 is. It's more of a complex choice. And when I have chosen incorrectly, when I have chosen in a way that the divine does not want me to choose, or I choose wrong and it's like, you just made a fear-based thought. Go back 2 steps and don't collect $200. It's literally like that. I've had those direct experiences of like, when you make the right decisions, like the divine does support you. Sometimes it might be a little bit cheeky with it and like it might take a little bit more time, but trust me, it does happen like that. So that's for someone to hear that, like, if your life is just suddenly feeling like it's falling apart because you've just made a big decision that was investing into yourself, then it might be a good idea to like reassess, like, was there more of a deeper challenge underneath this, and a different way to like invest into yourself again. Now, on a different note, some of you have gone through an experience where you really invested so much time and energy into somebody that you almost became like enmeshed with who they are as people, and maybe you've just finally made the decision on a whim to finally let them go. Maybe you felt guided, maybe you felt pushed by spirit to finally kind of like say something or break it off, and now it feels like your world is falling apart. This might be on more of a romantic level. This tends to happen in romantic relationships because the energy becomes so familiar with each other, it kind of like merges into one entity. So when your life feels like it's falling apart afterwards, it's usually just the other person's energy leaving you, and it will pass. This is really interesting because it's so... We have a card that's jumped. It's so weird because in this pile I keep getting like conflicting things where it's like one thing can also be the other thing. So like the person who's in therapy, you know, that can also apply there too, you know. I think, again, if you need to discern, you just need to consider how much time you've spent. You know, keep going back. Okay, if you only spent a year doing something, then you probably need to give it more time. You know, if you spent 3 years doing something, then, you know, it was probably like, yeah, like something to end. Or like, you know, was this something that, how clear, you know, how clear, were you on it, or like did you just not give it enough time? And I feel like deep down you'll kind of know the answers. You'll know. But spirit keep wanting to, you know, reassure, because this is the thing too, like, because I keep finding this conflict, yeah, of like one can also be the other. But that's also the nature of things. Like, we'll always have, like, there'll always be, like, when we find a message here, we'll also find its opposite. And we'll also find its equal too, on both sides. So, you know, I do apologize that we just keep having to, like, reconcile this confusion. Especially too, we have to remember this is a general reading as well. So, like, people on both sides of the coin, and sometimes maybe in both parts at once, or all 7, you're all going to be listening to this. So, you know, please bear that in mind, that, like, you know, I think to unpack the complexity here, it will take a long time, that you'd have, you know, take time. Exactly, 7 of coins. It will take time. So please, you know, when it comes to your relationships, what do they need from you? Please like take your time. Don't feel so rushed into making like huge decisions. And if you are feeling pushed to like end things, or you're wanting to push like a big change, because this is what I see with the tower. The tower here is making me feel like it's like a divine game of Jenga, you know. It feels like one wrong move and like things are gonna topple. And I think that's why things feel so like, I feel a little bit nervous about like giving advice, because we're doing it in this like platform of like multiple people listening, when actually there's going to be advice for one specific person and a different advice for somebody else. And the point is as well with the 7 is that this is for your own internal discernment. This is for you to discern. This is for you to understand, because this is about your growth. So you need to take the time for yourself. You need to be patient with yourself, and you need to put in the work to take the time so that you can make a good decision. Please do know that whatever decision you do make, you'll grow from. Some of it might be growing through pain, but you will never be given anything that you can't handle. So the next card is the 9 of Cups. So, ooh, can we get, I think my camera's kind of freaking out right now. What are you doing? Okay, 9 of Cups. So this is you focusing on what will make you happy and taking into consideration your fulfillment, what you really want deep down, and like taking that into consideration, taking your fulfillment into consideration. And again, like the long term of like, what do I really wish from this situation? What do I really want from this situation? And maybe as well asking yourself that before you make decisions, because sometimes what you guys might be doing is like making solo decisions without really conferring with the person in the relationship. So before you say like, okay, I give up on this relationship, you know, like I'm just making this decision, you could affirm to yourself and like understand for yourself what it is that you wish from this relationship. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a communication card next. And then like, I would say like keeping that in mind when it comes to making your decision. So, or your next set of actions. Because the thing is as well with the 7 of Coins, it isn't just one next step action. There's a myriad of choices, and that's also then affirmed by the 7 of Cups, which was actually in one of our other piles earlier. And it's about feeling isolated and confused, and I feel like it's like emotionally, you know that there's so many different directions that this could go, or that you could take this, the Hierophant. But again, like this is something that you need to learn. This is not a lesson that you can skip. Pile 4, you have to learn this. You have to learn. You have to learn from your past as well. This is about reflecting on the past and decisions that you've made in the past that didn't work out in your favor. What did you do wrong? Or what didn't you consider? And start considering that now. And really as well, this is about having guidance as well. So if you guys do need guidance on your decision, because I feel like there's a lot of confusion in your relationships right now. I'm gonna be honest, pile 4, it feels like there's a lot of confusion. So if you do need additional guidance, then I think it's important for you to go and get that. And this can be, again, guidance from a therapist. This can also be about having a mentor, having someone that's kind of like above you, that knows things that you can trust and that can like inform and tell you how to go about things. Even this reading right now is a form of the Hierophant. Unfortunately, I can't be as personal as I'd like to be. If any of you are drawn to have a reading with me, then please do, because like I would love to help individually, you know, you unpack this situation, because that's probably one of my specialties, is like organizing, you know, all the different parts so that you can make your own decision. I'm not here to make a decision for you, but I can definitely tell you like what's the best way to go about things, from what I know, and you know, I'm just working on behalf of Spirit, and Spirit is working on behalf of you. So But yeah, the Hierophant, yeah, this feels like this isn't a lesson you can skip. Okay, what else do your relationships need from you? Let's just get some... I kind of want to avoid getting into the complexities of things because I really can't do it justice. What else do Pile 4's relationships need from them right now? Thank you, Spirit. And if you can try and be as clear as you can. So more optimism, that was upright, and confidence, despite your anxieties and fear of failure. I also feel it's like doing right. You have to do right by yourselves and you have to do right by your loved ones. Do right by your relationships. So before you make a decision, before you like take action, like asking yourself, okay, like what would I do if I was doing right by other people? Listen to that answer. It could be about being honest. It could be about like leaving someone to it. Sometimes as well, like doing right by someone is letting them have a taste of their own medicine. You know, it really depends, but this is on you. 6 of Coins. Okay, your relationships do need you to share with them. Be generous as well. This is for the people who are like, oh, like, you know, like, I don't really want to invest any more time. I don't really want to invest any energy. Like, I just want what I want now. Relationships are a give and take. The 6 of Coins is like giving and receiving. This can be of like physical energy, of different things like words exchanged. I'm trying to get the word. I don't know what it's called. Gestures, that's it. An exchange of gestures. So notice when it comes to, you know, this situation and when it comes to the relationship decisions that you've got to make, asking yourself like, you know, what am I giving in this relationship? What am I receiving? When I give this thing, what am I expecting to receive? And keep honing down into that 9 of Cups energy, which is like, and what do I really want from this? And what do I really wish from this? I feel like a lot of your confusion and feeling let down is like a mismatch of like your expectations. Because I feel like there's a reason why you stopped giving, or why you don't want to give anymore, or why you don't have patience, or you don't want to invest. Why don't they want to invest? Queen of Coins. So some of you have been are kind of insecure about how much you have. Some of you prefer like a more self-indulgent lifestyle. So you prefer to like, you know, spend time to yourself, watch TV, watch movies, order takeouts, and maybe, you know, that's taken priority over, you know, spending your energy on your relationships. Why else are they nervous about it? The Knight of Coins. Yeah, you're not committed. There is commitment issues here. You haven't quite teased out your commitment issues. You don't know why you're doing it. You don't know what you're committed to. There is an attitude of commitment. You need to have a sense of commitment in order for you to want to give to this relationship again. The 2 of Swords as well. Okay, so some of you had a difficult situation where you had to make a difficult choice. This could be a health issue, a money issue. This does feel like an actual black and white choice of like, yeah, I can't actually do this right now. But it does feel like this didn't need to be a full stop. This needed to maybe just be like, okay, well, I can't do this right now, so we need to pause, rather than I can't do this right now, we should break up the whole thing. Yeah, there's a difference between the two. This is like saying to a friend, like, yeah, I can't hang out this weekend, but I can do next weekend. But in this scenario, it's like, you know, it's like, oh, you don't want to hang out this weekend? Well, like, F our relationship then. Like, or like, just because I can't do it now, it doesn't, like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm gonna throw the whole thing in. Okay, base card is the 10 of Wands. There is something about feeling burdened by the relationship. Maybe it feels like there's a lot of burdens, or this relationship involves burdens. So these people in these scenarios, again, I keep getting a therapeutic relationship. I keep getting a therapeutic relationship where somebody was helping you remove and understand your burdens and like almost like pluck out all of these different things that are like weighing you down on a spiritual level. On the other hand, some of these relationships that you've been deciding to walk away from, this was your job, was you had the responsibility of always like taking care of someone and being their problem solver, and you weren't getting much back out of the relationship. Sometimes as well, though, it's like you weren't giving the other person a chance to do the same in return, you know? And then another aspect of this as well is like this scenario, this decision, like I do think you're tired, and this is saying like burnout energy as well. So this is like another reason why you may have been feeling like you can't give to this relationship, or you don't want to invest much anymore. It's just because like a sense of tiredness. Again, I can't help but this feels like a spiritual issue. Like there's like a deep sense of tiredness. And again, one thing I'm hearing is like all you needed to do was like kind of put a pause on it. You didn't need to throw in the entire towel. What's this saying? I'm trying to get some, balance. 2 of coins. This was just about, you just needed to reprioritize for a little bit. It didn't need to be a full-on decision. And this can be for you now as well. Okay, advice. For those people who are like, oh, I don't know whether I should have done this or not. Like, you can just prioritize like yourself and your space for a little bit and see how you feel. And then that will also help inform your decision of like whether you want to walk away for good or not. I also think too that like this is just prioritizing, like if you can't do something for now, or if like you have a certain boundary or a thing that you need to prioritize for now, it can just be that, and you just have to balance it out in the end. Okay, I want to ask Spirit for any more like advice. I'm gonna pull from a different oracle deck because I feel like your cards have been quite confusing, but it is reassuring to see the Ace of Coins at the base, because this is saying like, don't worry, like this is a divine thing. Wow. The first base card is boundaries, and I haven't even shuffled. It says love yourself enough to say no to others of your demand, like and their demands on your time and energy. Okay, so some of you are feeling the burn right now. So again, this is, you don't have to cut people out for good, but you can be like, all right, this is just a no for now. You know, this is just a no for now. Let's see. Spirit, can we have some final messages, please, for pile 4? Any advice, any final things that they like really need to hear about their relationships and their current life situation around their relationships? Thank you so much. Oh, true love. The romantic stirrings in your heart have propelled the universe to deliver great love to you. There is something about some of you, again, it feels like some of you started to like do some kind of spiritual work or get some kind of therapy that was going to lead you to work through your blockages to then find like a true love. I also feel like too that like part of this situation is knowing what you truly love and knowing what you truly desire. This feels blocked though. This feels blocked. Yeah, then we have guiding children next to it. It says you are good at helping, counseling, and healing children. Use your skills to help children now. This feels like your inner child though. This feels like you need to reconnect with your inner child and understand like how they love and what they truly love. There is something about it's your inner child, which is your guiding force right now in this confusion and in this love or lack of love. I'm kind of picking up on, it was like a message that came through on a different pile, and it was talking about like previous like scenarios where we get hurt and then like we close down because of it in order to protect ourselves. But this is a very clear message saying that your inner child has more to do with what is going on than you realize. And in order for you to find what you truly love, whether that is a career path, whether that is a relationship, and if you want to access your energy again, if you want to access, again, when I say your energy, I mean like feeling energized again, feeling motivated again. And if you want to get back in touch with what it is that you really want, you need to get back in touch with your inner child, because it's them that has the answers for you. And you've been trying to look for these answers through like a dead heart. That's what I'm hearing. It's like you're tired, you're fed up, you know, you just keep trying to push on as well. I mean, that's the thing with the 7 of coins. It really tries to like push on even though it's tired. So if you want to access this again, you have to connect to your inner child. Then we have don't back down, stand up for what you believe is right. And it's really interesting because she is kindling a flame in her heart. And I feel like this is that fight. You kind of lost your fight for life, pile 4. It feels like, you know, you're just making it through. Life is just really taking it out of you. And you've been scraping by for a good few years, you know? So this is really time to like claim that fire back, because I think this is where it's like all of this complication stuff is like, oh my God, this is like really eating at my energy. And it's like, nah, dude, this is like, there is a pathway through this where it's like, I need to get back in touch with my heart and in touch with my fire again. Wow, inner goddess. Inner goddess, awaken the goddess within you through dance, self-care, and appreciating your divinity. But this is like getting access to that like inner fire again, and feeling alive is a huge thing here. So pile 4, just to try and summarize what your relationships need from you right now. Honestly, your relationship with yourself is lacking, and you need to find a way to like stoke your inner fire and get back in touch with like what it is that you really love, even if it's goofy, even if it's dorky, even if it seems childlike or childish. You need to feed that, because right now your adult self is burnt out, confused, and it might be making poor choices around investments and burning away valuable resources, or burning away like valuable relationships because it's not got the energy to sustain it. It starts from the inside out. I've gone through with you guys how this is manifesting, so I hope you trust the message about the advice for the inside. I wish I could give more advice, but I really do feel like it's going to be tailored to the individual, because we're all very, very different. So if you want some additional guidance, you can come get a reading with me. I have my commissions, I think, are temporarily closed, but if you are interested in like, you know, having a private reading with me, if you join our Discord server, I will do an announcement when there's more slots opening. If you want to see more of my messages and potentially get a divine message for you, you can also join the Patreon. I try and open up to my guides and get spirit messages for my Patreons. I try and do it at least once a week. It's really random though, but anytime you start to think in yourself like, I need to hear something about this, my spirit guides try and get the message, and I'll put a post up on Patreon. So that's another way that you can maybe get some more support too, especially if you can't afford a private reading. But yeah, I hope this is okay. I feel unsatisfied with this answer, but we also have to realize this is not a black and white issue, and this is way more complex. So please be compassionate with yourselves, pile 4. I nearly said pile 5. Jesus Christ. Please be compassionate with yourselves, pile 4. I think more than any other pile, I really feel like you guys are going through it right now. So please just take some time for yourself, even if it's just for a little bit, and get back in touch with your inner child. Do some meditations with them, visualize them, look at some old photos of yourself and like see yourself, you know, because that is you. When you look at old pictures of yourself as a child, it's like, oh, like that was something other than me. And it's like, no, that's you. That is you. It's not a separate part of you. It is you. But yeah, anyway, I love you guys so much. I'm sorry for waffling on. Thank you again for supporting my channel. Please go check out my Patreon. And if not, I really appreciate it if you subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment down below. It lets YouTube know that this channel is worth watching and things like that. So yeah, anyway, love you guys. Take care. Bye.